A lot of people have been arguing should college athletes be paid. But what about endorsements? Should college athletes be able to receive endorsement money? Yes, because if the school can't afford to pay them, or because they are student athletes, well, let Nike pay them. Let State Farm appreciate them for being in their commercial. It's unfair to the college athletes. This topic is important to me because I'll be a college athlete very soon. I don't want to feel taken advantage of. Some may say, well, they're getting their education paid for, but what about a walk-on freshman that's scoring 30 points a game? What about a walk-on quarterback that's throwing 250 yards a game? You can't use that education paid for excuse on them.
If college players, if they get paid in college, then it wouldn't make them want to work hard to get further in life, which is professional basketball.
Hey, you're already getting your school paid for. We're student athletes, so I think those are kind of the basis of the two arguments.
So if they're getting paid in college, they wouldn't want to go further in life.
And now, when you add money into it, I think it could play in a different role. It's kind of like what you see with pro teams. Guys are going to different teams, whoever pays them the most money.
They get scholarship money to play the sport and attend the school, and so get your education is education, then you play ball.
How are you going to maximize his value? You got to do it by allowing him to hire an agent. Once you let him hire an agent, does he become a professional athlete then?
Obviously, some people are like, oh, it's common sense, pay him or not, but the thing now is like, if you pay him, you're gonna have to pay how many other players?
The basketball court could be upgraded. The student center where they study can be upgraded. The weight room can be upgraded. All the revenue that they're seeing back from those student athletes, I think should go back for the student athletes.
But if you are going to go to college, be a student. And part of that is realizing that, yeah, football and men's basketball bring in probably 99% of the revenue. And you know where that goes? That goes to all the other teams that don't make money. So gymnastics and tennis and lacrosse and swimming and soccer, football and basketball pay for all those scholarships and insurance and coaches and all that.
I'm not saying let the universities pay them, but for example, if Duke University can't afford to pay Jahlil Okafor, then if an endorsement comes his way, allow him to receive it. If anything, he deserves it, pro or amateur. It's his name, it's his image, so why take that appreciation away from him?
They spend more time in the gym than they do anywhere else, and an average college player spends at least 43 hours in the gym. That's more hours than an average worker would spend at his job.
Work that they've done for the university, and I know a lot of people argue that the athletes are the reason why the media get so much publicity.
If they're spending their hours in the gym, how else would they get paid and continue to make a living at college?
Like early mornings to like at 8 o'clock, 7, and I don't get done hooping until like 4. And it's like, I hardly have time for myself.
You can go to the NBA right out of high school. So then that somewhat eliminates the need for a school to give a kid money under the table. So if you're a top recruit, you can go straight to the NBA.
I did have teammates that were all on the nightly news, that was in the magazines and all those things because they was doing so well. Those guys got upset because they were the ones that were generating a lot of money.
And when we go to that next level, I think we should get, appreciate it more, for the game that we do, especially if we good.
Maybe down the road, something could come upon where, the NCAA could say, you know what, we're gonna give everyone a base salary maybe, of a few grand or whatnot, and then after that, they could kind of come up with the system.
Football and basketball pay for all those scholarships and insurance and coaches and all that. Theory, sure. We want to make sure these kids get what's fair.
I definitely would have something built into their scholarships to where they can be compensated for the NCAA using their likeness and using their names to sell products.
I would be very opposed to a system where players are quote unquote paid, but I would really be strongly looking into if the endorsement model can work, what they call the Olympic model, where players are free to get endorsement money on their own.
Endorsements possibly, like Nike, Gatorade, Adidas, all of those huge companies, they always cater to a player. Like, oh, you know what, and Anthony Davis or Derrick Rose or whatnot. So, maybe the NCAA, will continue to look at those issues.
They bust their ass in practice, in the games, and they work hard to play for that team. And the college coaches receiving all the credit.
I was watching an HBO piece, a Real Sports piece, the other night, and in the Real Sports piece, there were some athletes who talked about being mistreated by their coach and their coach holding that scholarship over them, basically threatening that if they don't play better, they're going to yank their scholarship. Well, the good news now is that I know a lot of conferences are saying the schools have to give mandatory 4-year scholarships.
I think 10, 15 years from now, college athletics will be completely different because kids are going to be getting paid to play these sports, and it's only a handful of schools that can really afford to do that.
They risking their body, and later players out there making the money for the universities.
And another really important thing, two really other important things are long-term medical care. So if an athlete gets injured while he or she is playing, that person should be protected. And when they asked Kane Coulter and various people about should athletes quote unquote get paid, he said more compensation is good, but it should be in the form of basically an educational fund where if an athlete doesn't graduate in those first 4 to 5 years, maybe goes professional or something happens, he or she can then return to school and graduate using the funds.
Some college players can be having financial problems, and if they getting paid the money from the college, then they can have some money in their pocket.
Endorsements would be great. Quote unquote paying athletes would be great, but I think we're at the point now at the NCAA where good stuff has been happening in the last year or so that really does benefit student athletes.
My solution is let the endorsement model work. Some say it's unfair, but look at the pro league. Everybody don't have endorsements, only the good players. So in college, if they were able to receive endorsement money, it would make the players step up their game.